Magandang buhay, my dear Divinians, kayong mga grade 9 learners ng Divine Word High School of Danaili. Welcome to our religion subject together with Ma'am Marmy Manaligod Corpus. This is Father Christian Jesse Matias Saliping, or you can call me Father Jess. I am your school director. Ang topic po ng religion natin sa school year na ito ay Church and Sacraments. So samahan po ninyo ako sa YouTube video na ito para makatulong sa pag-intindi ninyo sa Church and Sacraments. So yan po, nakikita ninyo ang mga picture na yan. So, yan ay merong drawing ng simbahan. So ibig sabihin po niyan na ang simbahan ay hindi not so much the building, but the church ay ang mga tao. Okay? And then sacraments, ayan po. Yung 7 sacraments po natin. Andyan yung anointing. Andyan po yung baptism. Andyan yung confirmation. Yan yung communion, confirmation, holy orders, marriage, and reconciliation. Wow! Those are the 7 sacraments. Sa pag-aralan natin ang Church and Sacraments. Sa lesson na ito, I am excited. Punta po tayo sa course description ng subject na ito. This course aims to make you, my dear Divinians, my dear learners, to understand, maintindihan, ang meaning at significance of the church in the life of a believer. Ano ba, may silbi pa ba ang simbahan? By helping them to realize that in and through the church, they encounter the living Jesus Christ. So, ma-encounter ninyo si Kristo sa pamamagitan ng simbahan. They will be introduced to the fact that the church was founded by Christ through the apostles. So, yan ang simbahan natin ay tinatag ni Kristo through the apostles and is sustained by Jesus through the Holy Spirit. This subject will also help you appreciate the sacraments, the 7 sacraments you receive, and to clarify the value of the sacraments in living the Catholic faith. Through this course, the teachers and learners are equipped in establishing a culture and environment in the school whereby the church and the sacraments are valued, lived, and shared to others. Introduction. Part 1 of this course focuses on the church. Siyempre yung part 2, yung sacraments, di ba? Today, we see a proliferation of churches. Ibig sabihin, napakaraming simbahan. Minsan nalilito na tayo, hindi natin alam ang tunay na simbahan ni Kristo. It is ironic, no? Parang nakapagtataka that each of these churches claim to be the true church. Na kami ang totoong simbahan, kami ang totoong simbahan. So, saan ang totoong simbahan kung lahat ay totoong simbahan? Okay? Most often than not, some members of these churches are at odds with one another. Ibig sabihin, nag-away-away pa sila. Engaging in bitter debates, no? Mga masalimuot, maanghang na mga debate, polemics, pag-aaway, and negatively portraying by way of caricatures those churches whom they are in disagreement with. So parang ginagawa nilang kampon na mga satanas ang simbahan na yan. Different social media platforms have been used to attack and caricature other churches. For example, tayo raw na mga Katoliko ay sumasamba ng mga rebulto. True or false, no? So ang rebulto para sa atin ay simbolo. Parang picture ni Jesus, ng Holy Spirit, ni Mama Mary, hindi naman Diyos si Mama Mary, mga santo, mga bayani natin sa pananampalataya. It is unfortunate that many Catholics do not have the confidence to defend their faith. Most, if not some, are easy praise to fundamentalists. So for example, ang dami diyan no sa barangay Santo Tomas na nabalitaan ko na nakuha ng mga ibang relihiyon, easy praise, no, who try to win members for their church by making false claims about our church, no. Kaya nabalitaan ko, no, pinagsisira-sira na nilang kanilang mga imahen, no. So marami sila mga fake news tungkol sa Catholic Church, the Holy Roman Catholic and Apostolic Church. Mindful of this, there is then a need not only for a renewed evangelization, but also for a new apologetics. We study the church, its nature, its origin, its purpose, its destiny, not only for academic purposes, but in view of living out our identity as belonging to church, and in view of being able to effectively and confidently dialogue in charity with people of different faiths, okay, especially those who are hostile to our Catholic Christian faith. So paano tayo makipagrelasyon sa mga ibang pananampalataya, sa mga Pentecost, sa Saksi, sa Iglesia ni Cristo, no, sa mga Sabatista? No? Dialogue in charity. As such, at the end of this unit, we hope to answer the questions. Una, what is the church? Ano ba talaga ang simbahan? Pangalawa, how did it come about? Pangatlo, what is its purpose? At pang-apat, where does it subsist? Ibig sabihin, saan ba nakikita ang fullness ng simbahan? Part 1. The nature of the church. Christ established His one church to continue His presence and His work. So ang lesson 1 natin is understanding the term church. Ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng term na church? Ang learning outcomes natin ay ang learning outcomes natin ay una, understand the concept of the church. Okay? Pangalawa, recognize God as the origin of the church. Pangatlo, to recognize the church. And pang-apat, to value and live out what it means to belong to the church. Alright? Exposition and integration. The word church, ang Latin niya ecclesia, dyan po hango yung salitang iglesia. From the Greek ekkalein, to call out of, means a convocation or an assembly. So pakitake note po yan. Yan ang ibig sabihin ng ecclesia sa ekkalein. To call out of, ibig sabihin pagtitipon. No? It designates the assemblies of the people, usually for a religious purpose. Kaya may barangay assembly, no? Nag-assembly ang mga tao para sa mga importanteng issues ng barangay. Ang ecclesia naman ay assembly para sa religious purposes. Ecclesia is used frequently in the Greek Old Testament for the assembly of the chosen people before God. So ginamit na ito sa Lumang Tipan. Above all, for their assembly on Mount Sinai, where Israel received the law and was established by God as His holy people. So basahin ninyo yung Exodus chapter 19. Okay? We learn here that the church is not something that people establish. So ang simbahan ay hindi ginawa ng Diyos. It is not hindi ginawa ng tao, I should say. It's not man-made. The gathering or the assembly, ecclesia, is a result of someone who calls them out, ekalein, together. Mayroong pagtitipon, gathering or assembly sapagkat may tumawag, ekalein, sa kanila. The people's unity is not the making of an individual within the group. Ang kanilang pagtitipon ay hindi dahil sa pagtawag ng isa sa mga kasapi sa pagtitipon, but their unity is a result of their response to the calling forth of someone other than the people who are gathered together. They are united because God calls them forth. So yun, no? So yun ang simbahan. In the Old Testament, the Hebrew word for ecclesia is kahal. No? So what is referred to as ecclesia in the New Testament is rendered kahal in the Old Testament. In the book of Exodus, kahal designates the assembly that was guided by God in the wilderness toward Mount Sinai. There is a continuity of the assembly of the people of God in the Old Testament to that of the assembly or gathering of the disciples of Jesus Christ. So yung simbahan sa Old Testament ay may continuation sa simbahan ng New Testament. Makikita natin dito na may connection, ugnayan at pagpapatuloy yung pagtitipon ng bayan ng Diyos na nakasaad sa lumang tipan, the Old Testament, at yung pagtitipon ng mga disipulo ni Kristo sa New Testament. In fact, the assembly of the Old Testament find their fulfillment in the gathering of the disciples of Jesus Christ. Maari nating sabihin na ang simbahan ay nagsimula ng mabuo nung nakipagsalamuha ang Diyos sa mga tao. Ang Diyos ang unang tumatawag. At dahil sa pagtugon ng mga tao sa tawag ng Diyos, sila ay nagtitipon, no? Tumawag ang Diyos, no? Kaya nagtitipon sila. Yun ang imahen ng simbahan. Itong pagtitipon na ito na nabuo dahil sa pagtawag ng Diyos ang origin, simula ng simbahan. The church began to be formed when God called His people and set them apart as His very own. By calling itself church, the first community of Christian believers recognized itself as heir, tagapagmana to the assembly of the Old Testament. In the church, God is calling together His people from all the ends of the earth. The Greek adjective kyriake, which often precedes the noun ecclesia, from which the English word church, no, and the German Kirche are derived, means what belongs to the Lord. Kaya yung English word na church ay hango yan sa Greek adjective na kyriake, Kirche sa German. Ibig sabihin, what belongs to the Lord. So ang simbahan ay belong to the Lord. No? Kaya minsan yung Greek adjective ay it often precedes the noun ecclesia. The church has its origin in God. No, hindi sinumang Poncio Pilato ang nagtatag ng simbahan, hindi si Pastor Kibuloy, si Felix Manalo, si Martin Luther, si Calvin, at sino man dyan, hindi tao. It is for this reason that the church belongs to God. Ang simbahan ay pagmamay-ari ng Diyos, hindi ng sinumang tao. Masasabi natin na ang tunay na simbahan ay yung itinatag ng Diyos. Kaya yung church ba ninyo ay tinatag ng Diyos o tinatag ng tao? Ang anumang simbahan itinatag ng tao ay hindi tunay na simbahan. Kaya ngayon matutunan ninyo saan bang tunay na simbahan? Yung tinatag ng Diyos, hindi yung tinatag ng tao. The church originated from God's initiative. God calls and man responds. Because the church originated from God, then we can say that the purpose of the church is part of God's eternal purpose and plan. Plano ng Diyos. may purpose ang simbahan. To belong to the church is to enter into communion with God. You want to have relationship with God, so you must belong to the church. And the communion that one enters into is not an individual and personal expression of one's faith, but a collective unity. So hindi ka lang nililigtas na individual, no? Ikaw ay kailangan mong magbilong sa isang komunidad. Walang sinuman ang nabubuhay para sa sarili lamang. Ibig sabihin, man is a social being, a community of believers that mirrors, no, pagsarmingan, salamin, the unity of God as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Ibig sabihin, ang Diyos ay alam natin iisang Diyos, pero tatlong persona, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Ibig sabihin, napaka-importante ang isang komunidad. God is a community, kaya ang church din ay community. A growing number of Christians would value their belonging to the church. Ikaw ba, kapatid, pinapahalagahan mo ba na membro ka ng simbahan ng Catholic Church? Some even argue that to belong to a church is not important anymore. What matters, they say, is faith. Basta dati pamatim. Spiritual na religious is what others describe themselves. But the awareness of oneself as a member of the church is rooted in one's awareness that he or she no longer belongs to himself or herself but to Christ. Hindi na natin pagmamay-ari ang sarili natin. Pagmamay-ari na tayo ni Kristo tung tayo'y nabinyagan. Kung gusto mong malaman ang biblical foundation na ito, see Galatians chapter 2 verse 20, Philippians chapter 1 verse 21, and Philippians chapter 4 verse 13. Assignment po ninyo. Okay? Una, have a copy of the coat of arms of your parish. Saan ba ito? Pwede nyong i-message ako, ibigay ko sa inyo kay Ma'am Marmy, kay Sir MJ, sa anumang katekista, si Ma'am Janet, Sir Gilmar, Ma'am Fatima, yung coat of arms of your parish. Or kung meron kayong kalendaryo, yung binigay ng parokya, andun yung coat of arms of your parish. Picture ninyo. At andun rin yung mga meaning, yung number 2. Identify its symbols and the meaning of its symbol. Andun rin yung kasaysayan ng ating parokya. So pag natapos niyo yan, isubmit niyo kay Ma'am Marmy na inyong religion teacher. So hanggang sa muli, see you in lesson